Alright guys, in this video I thought I would talk about my top 5 fears that I've had living in the Philippines and that a lot of people probably share as well when they move or travel out to the Philippines. Stick around. Hi guys, so by the time you watch this video, I will be getting married. That'll be on Saturday, so I believe this video will be coming out on Saturday. So I will already be walking down the aisle there, or I'll be standing at the front, she'll be walking down the aisle. But I wanted to discuss this because a lot of people have mentioned this, and I wanted to discuss a little more in depth. And some of the fears that I have, and still currently have, are number one would be access to my money, losing access to my money. Now, this has happened to me before, and the very first time when I first moved out here, I really just had my debit card access to my bank through that method, and that was it. I did have a Filipino bank account at that time as well, that my salary, because I was working at the time, that was being deposited into that account. So I had the salary, which I could pay my bills, but as far as my dollar account, my US bank account, I only had the one debit card. Now, there came a time where my card expired. Just a couple mistakes I made when I moved out here. One was letting my driver's license expire, which I'll be taking care of this coming summer. And two was not checking my debit card, noticing that it expired like, I think 6 months later or so. I just didn't even pay attention. I was so busy with getting rid of all my stuff and everything else that I just didn't pay attention to that. Well, the card expired, or it was a month away, and I called up my bank. I had USAA in the States, and they said, okay, sure, no problem, we can send it out to you. It's like a $10, $15 charge to FedEx it. Well, when I first sent it, I made a mistake. I didn't put my phone number on there. Yeah, I know, rookie mistake, but I sent it out. FedEx couldn't find it, and never, of course, I couldn't get a phone call because I never put my phone number on it, and it might have been lost anyway. So the second time I had them send it again, I still had like a week or so before my card expired, so I took out a big chunk of change, and it still didn't show up. This time I properly did everything, or I did everything properly, and it still didn't show up. And I don't know why. The post offices here are just not very good. I think it was sent by the post office this time. So that was when I had a little bit of a panic attack because I couldn't access my money. I had the money in the bank, but I couldn't access it. Now at that time I had got a Remitly bank account, or not a bank account, but I had gotten Remitly cash remittance, because I've learned that in the Philippines, cash remittance offices are everywhere. You can go to the smallest of towns and there will be a cash remittance office to send money and to receive money. And basically all you need is your ID and a Philippines phone number typically to pick it up. Now, I wired myself money, and I had been doing that for a little while. I did it on several occasions, and eventually Remitly actually locked me out of my account. They said suspicious activity, too much sending myself money, which I guess deemed suspicious by them. Now, I'm not telling everybody to use Remitly or to use Western Union or any of those. You can use any of them, honestly. You really can, but maybe have one sign up for one, fill out all the information, have it ready to go in case you lose your card gets eaten by the ATM, it expires, or any of those reasons. I also recommend Wise, and if you use my link down in the description, you'll get the first transfer for free. But have several ways of being able to access your money. So that was my number one fear, was just losing access to my money and not having access to it anymore. So have a few different methods to access money. Very important. Number two was really actually weather related. When I first moved out here, I was working in Cebu. I think I was on the 11th floor or something, and we had an earthquake, and I could feel the whole building shake. Now, if you've never been in an earthquake, it's kind of a nerve-wracking experience. I had never experienced that, and that made me a little nervous. Now, I had experienced some other earthquakes and some typhoons, but nothing really bad. Until a few years ago when I was living in Cebu, in Mactan, Newtown, when a typhoon came through and just devastated the area, so much to the point where I had to leave and ended up moving to Davao and then eventually here. I learned a lot of things during that time, and let me share some of those. One, you need to have cash at your house at all times because you never know what could happen. Two, you need to have plenty of canned goods, at least enough canned goods for a week or two to eat. You need to have those big 5-gallon things of water. You should always keep about 5 of those at all time. Don't wait till you have 0 left. And those are the 3 big ones right there. So I was lucky. When the typhoon hit, nothing was open. There was no gas. You couldn't access ATM. There was no signal, nothing. And I had, luckily, literally 2 days before, taken out a good chunk of change. But there was a lot of foreigners that were walking around. We would all go outside, and there was nothing to do. Nothing was open. Everything was closed. No power. And we would talk, and a lot of foreigners were in a hard place because they didn't have any cash and no way to access money because none of the ATMs were working. Everything was offline. So always keep a good 1 or 2 months of spending money or expenses for your rent, your food, just transportation, everything. You just never know when a natural disaster happens here, because this is an island nation, and you never know when a typhoon or an earthquake comes along and boom, you're out of power, the infrastructure is disrupted. So always have that. The other thing is have lots of water and have enough canned goods for a couple of months, or a couple of weeks rather, because people also, I remember giving some food and a bottle of water away to one of my foreigner neighbors because he hadn't gone to the grocery store. He literally would go out to eat all the time. So at least have some cans of soup or something you could eat cold in a pinch if you had to. And for me, it wasn't that big of a deal. When I was in the Army, I would eat my MREs, that's meals ready to eat. I would eat them cold anyway, so it didn't even really bother me. So that was my second biggest fear, which came to a realization. And then the third biggest fear would have been healthcare here. I don't so much worry. I know there are good doctors and good nurses, and you can get good treatment here at different hospitals and stuff. My main concern is when an emergency happens, like a sudden heart attack or a stroke or a motorbike accident, something like that. It's the response time and getting you to the ER and worked on all in a timely fashion. That's where the Philippines fails with medical greatly, because the response time is not good. Now, depending on the cities, I've seen in Dumaguete, I see the ambulances going pretty fast and quick to the scene. I saw that in Davao as well. So it just depends on the city, but some of these cities with all the traffic or these little province towns makes me worry that if you're in an accident or you have some major thing like a heart attack or a stroke, the response time in getting the quick care is a little worrisome. So that is one of my another one of my fears. So that would be 3. Now the fourth fear, I don't have a fear of it anymore, but it was always safety concerns. Is my stuff safe in my room? Is my motorbike safe on the road? Or when I park it at the mall, is it safe? Do I have to worry about somebody stealing it? Do I have to worry about this and that? And I can tell you now that I've been here 7 years next month, I haven't had anything ever stolen in the Philippines. Never, ever, ever. Now in the US I have, but here, no, I've never had anything stolen. Now, if you give somebody an opportunity, you leave things unattended or things like that, sure, it can be stolen. But I would say for the most part, Filipinos are trustworthy and honest when it comes to things like that. Like I've had waiters run outside after me, hey, you forgot your phone, or you forgot your wallet, or things like that. And so now I have had friends who've invited a girl over, and now this falls on them too, on the type of person they're inviting over. But they've had in the middle of the night, the girl has stolen money from them or something like that. So again, what type of person are you inviting over? Be a little careful about that. That is why these travel bags, I have the one there's a link in the description. You can check out my Geo Travel Essentials, but I love them because all the zippers lock, and you can lock the strap to the bedpost or things like that, or don't just leave all your stuff hanging out. So that was a concern of mine, and it never really, I was worried about being mugged or anything like that. Well, for the most part, I feel like I can walk around anywhere at any time and be safe. Now, obviously, I don't purposely go out and look for bad neighborhoods to walk through, but I've walked through a few neighborhoods in Cebu and even here that seemed questionable, but they were, more than safe. The last fear that I had was, what if I had to go back and start all over again? That was a fear because it would cost a lot of money. If you put everything into moving out to the Philippines, and if for some reason you absolutely hated it, or it just isn't what you expected, or something happens with your health or something like that, to go and get yourself established again, like if you don't have family to go live with, to go pay rent, deposits, buy a car and get transportation, insurance, furnish your house, dishes, all these things. I mean, it is extremely expensive. I mean, I was thinking the other day maybe around $30K even. So that is another fear. Make sure you're financially sound, and that doesn't have to be a fear. But these were my 5 fears when I moved out to the Philippines. Let me know what yours were. Go ahead and comment down below. And as usual, I appreciate you watching. And by the time you guys watch this, I will be a married man. See you guys next time.